Welcome to Storing Community. My name is Roy, and today we're going to be talking about leads diversification. If you have just recently joined the group and you don't know, here's the rules. I need you to like and comment on this video so that it shows to more people in the group and also gives me some sort of feedback as to what videos I should be making next. And so I want to talk today a little bit about lead diversification and the importance of it, because a lot of people think that because I'm mainly an SEO guy, my kind of rule of life is that you only need SEO. And while I have had more than enough leads over the last few years just to have SEO be the main bread source, I don't think that that's the best way to do it, because I really do believe in hedging your bets. And I don't think leads are really any different from any other source of investment or income. For example, your wedding photography business should really not be your only source of income. You really should have a side hustle somewhere or an investment or something where you're taking money and you're letting it work on its own to create more money coming into the business. And I don't think that our lead system should be any different. And so what I want to do today is I'm going to break down kind of what I'm doing and the income I've seen so far in this beginning part of the year, and kind of explain what my strategy is and how I'm kind of processing these things. And I have this, I have a rule that kind of guides this entire principle. And the basics of the rule is there should only be 3. You don't need to have 70 different lead sources. You don't need to be working on every single platform that comes into existence. You'll actually see that social media is not one of my strategies that I use in any way, shape, or form for leads. I don't think that you need to be an expert at all these things, because what that makes you is an expert of nothing. What I think you need to do is pick 3 different sources. I think you need an organic source, I think you need a passive source, and I think you need a paid source. So organic is one that you work on but you don't pay for. Passive is more like networking, where you are kind of creating things. You do have meetings and things, but you're not really going to those meetings specifically for the purpose of creating leads. That's more of a byproduct of you just being a good person and someone that people like to hang out with. The paid one's really simple. That comes, if you're a wedding photographer, that's going to come from 2 different spots. That's either going to be paid ads or paid memberships to like some sort of group or something where leads come from. So that could be like, maybe some of you are on The Knot, maybe some of you are on Wedding Wire, God forbid. And if you are, please, for the love of God, get off those platforms and stop paying those people. And then some of you maybe are doing like wedding shows. Those are all great options. I'm going to show you how I kind of structure this out here through this document though. All right, so we are only going to be going from this year to current month. So January 1st to March 11th when I'm recording this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so I went through my numbers this morning and have kind of figured out roughly what we're looking at number-wise for the year. Basically, I use these lead sources. So I have client referrals, which are kind of always running in the background. If I do a good job with my clients, they'll refer me in some ways. Now, the problem with my business has always been that I tend to move a lot. So for right now, for example, I'm moving to Arizona in the next month or so. And so a lot of times referrals I get, but the clients that come from referrals are not always the easiest bookers because they're coming from different parts of the country. You know, for example, my client that most recently sent me a lead lives in North Carolina and sent me one of their friends there over in Georgia. And we haven't really gone through the booking process yet, but typically that does create kind of a problem for those kind of lead sources. Now, my local lead sources that do send me referrals, my local clients, they typically book a little bit easier, but that's just one kind of aspect of the business. So I have client referrals, I have paid ads, and I have vendor or venue referrals, and then I have SEO. Now you'll kind of notice, right, that the lead sources, all right, we got 52 leads, again, 96 leads total from January 1st to March 11th. We have 52 leads that came in from SEO, 21 that came in from vendor or venue referrals, 16 that came in from paid ads, and 7 that have come through for client referrals. Okay, now what you're going to notice is when we look at the income from each of these sources, you'll see a very different picture from what's actually coming in. Again, we need to have these lead sources coming in so that there's multiple leads coming from different sources in case any of these lead sources kind of fail out. So say, for example, that AI starts changing things and for like a month, you can't get any organic traffic because Google tested something new and it was a terrible idea. Okay, so that's going to take out the major lead source that I currently get leads from. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to get any leads. I still have these 3 backup systems. And that's really what we're kind of creating. We're trying to create as much redundancy in our business so that the business doesn't fail the second one lead source kind of fades out. And if some of you are just only getting your leads from, like, let's say you're only getting them from paid ads. Okay, well, if the paid ad cost jumps up and you don't adjust your budget, you're going to drop off on leads. If, say, for example, back in the day, Apple changed their privacy thing, and then the old way of running ads stopped working. Well, guess what? All those leads kind of dried up. So the whole purpose of this is creating redundancy. Now, client referrals is something you should always be working on. And actually, what I've noticed through going through the data is I need to do a slightly better job of asking for those sales from those clients, asking for those referrals. And so what I'm going to probably be doing to kind of map this out and even it out, because I want it kind of even, at least with venue referrals, is I'm going to be creating some sort of incentive program for my clients. I'm also going to start doing a little bit more regular communication via email. Hopefully that's going to even that out throughout the rest of the year. But let's take a look at the income that came in, or the sources directly that came from this. So SEO, this is going to come from landing posts, landing pages, wedding photographer in XYZ city, blank city engagement photographer, blank city proposal photographer, destination wedding photographer. Like that, those are kind of the landing pages. So that means if you type those into Google, those are the pages that are going to come up. Then we have local posts. Okay, so for my main city, which formerly was St. Augustine, I had a venue page, I had an elopement page or post, I had some weddings that I had shot over here, and I turned those into venue posts, and then I had travel posts, like things that maybe if I've went to different parts of the country, I did weddings there. Okay, I have some of those. I have some guides, some how-tos. That's where a lot of the traffic is going to be coming from. Just like these local resources that I've created that drive traffic to the site, and then my work gets shown to that person, and then they show interest and they see the lead form at the bottom, they send me in leads. Then we have networking. Okay, so I do a couple different things for this. I do local groups. I like to be part of local groups and try and go to networking meetings when I can. Local meetings is part of that. Photography and vendor groups. So I'm part of a couple different vendor groups on Facebook specifically, where I'm working with photographers and they're referring back to me. I'm doing the same thing for vendors. We're kind of just passing resources back and forth. And then I do styled shoots. And the whole purpose of me doing styled shoots is more to connect with other photographers and other vendors in the area. And I get to create cool work that allows me to work on my paid ads. And then you have volunteering, which is something that I'm pretty bad at, just to be honest with you. Volunteering can be things like if you're working for your city and you go take photos of each individual, park that they have in the city and then send those to the parks department. Or if they're doing some sort of a big event and you go ahead and volunteer your time. Or if you go to like a homeless shelter and volunteer your time photographing the outreach process of that. That can be a good source of leads and networking things. Then you have paid. So you have ads. So like for me, I'm currently doing meta ads right now. Facebook, Instagram is what that means. I don't like wedding shows, but I've done them in the past. And then you have sponsorships. So sponsorships means like if your town is doing, let's say, something that is really good for your niche. Like let's say, for example, St. Augustine, where I'm currently at, is doing, they have like a Sing Out Loud festival. Well, I could pay to sponsor some of that, and they'll put my logo or maybe a banner or something, or allow me to have a booth up at that event, and I'll meet couples that are in the area that are looking for wedding photographers and also happen to be at something that I would be interested in, like a concert. That's a great way to do those kind of things. It's a little different for wedding shows. You won't have as much strategic traffic. So like people who go to wedding shows are typically couples. Those are going to be, you're going to get a little bit more from there. But when you go to like bigger events like that, you may not have just couples at that area. So your booth may not be as popular, kind of depending on what it is you're doing. And that's why sometimes it's better just to have your logo up somewhere big so that people see it, just kind of depending. And then you have referrals. So we have client referrals, vendor referrals, and venue referrals. These are the main things that I use throughout these sources. I typically like to do SEO. I love doing networking. I'm more about in-person networking in general, but I will also use those Facebook groups. And then I have paid ads. You can choose any of these. You can do more than this. You can add social media on here. You can do a lot of different things. It's more about just picking 3 that you can stick with and having one at least paid. You should always have one lead source that you're investing in on a month-to-month basis. And that could be having SEO content written for you by my team or doing it yourself. That could be doing paid ads. That could be a combination of the 2 of them. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. Just for reference right now, because we're about to get into how many leads I've gotten in the last 3 months and also how much I'm spending and how many, kind of things have been booked. So just so you guys know, for meta ads right now, I'm spending about $30 a day, which translates to about $900 per month. So it's a little less than 1 reservation fee from my business. And that's kind of the goal. So like I charge $12.50 as a reservation fee, and I want to make sure that just 1 booking from this would cover that. Okay. And then once we get that 1 booking in, I put that straight into like a lead fund. And then the lead fund grows if I get another booking from that, because I'll take another, $250 or $500 from each lead that comes in and put that in there and then kind of scale the ads up. The idea is hopefully to book out within the next, 3 months for this year and then start booking about 50% up into next year. So here's where we can kind of see. For me specifically, I have a couple sources of lead loss before we even get into the actual budgeting things. I have 9% of my couples that send in leads, I lose them because the date's not available. I'm already working a wedding that day, or I'm going to be somewhere else, or logistically it doesn't work out. So for example, with me doing a lot of travel stuff, which is why I'm paying into leads more, ads more, so I can get things outside of my area. A lot of times they send it in and I'm either already traveling in another state and can't make it back the next day. Like for example, I had a wedding that came in from the Catskills in New York at a venue that was absolutely perfect to me, and it still hurts my soul to this day that I didn't get it. But I was going to be in Tampa the day before, and if I went from Tampa all the way to the Catskills in one night, that's a lot of logistics that could really get screwed up. I could get stuck at the airport, my flight could get canceled, Delta may fly upside down again. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but there's too much risk for that, so I had to let that couple go. That's an example of data unavailable. Could just also be that I'm booked in general. Then we have ghosting. Now, I will say this, with SEO, I get a decent amount of ghosting, but I'll say that my higher ghosting comes from paid ads. But paid ads, the ghosting just seems to be a little bit higher on those. And then we have disinterest. So disinterest could be from clients or someone else. Disinterest, I'd say, is mostly me. For example, right now, because I'm moving out of Florida, I have leads coming in from Florida and I am denying more of them because I'm trying to save room for the other parts of the country. And also I'm just more interested in being out of my house. I want to go travel. I want to go see things. I want to do things for fun. And so a lot of times, like, I'll get the lead and I'll look at it and I'm like, I don't really want to do that. The other thing that could happen is they could be at a venue that I absolutely don't want to work at. So it could just be a really bad fit. Like, I know the venue owner is crazy, or it could just be an ugly venue, or it could just be that the couples, like, maybe I go to their Facebook page and check them out and they're like crazy political on either side. And that seems to be their main source of conversation. And maybe they put that in their description about them. Like, hey, I want to wear a Democrat or Republican themed wedding dress. Okay, well, we don't want to, I'm good with that. I don't want to do that. Funny enough, I did have, right before the 2020 election, I had someone reach out that wanted to do, like, she was going to put Trump on the side of her wedding dress. And I was like, that's too political. Same thing would be like if they're just dedicating themselves to things that are not related to what I want my brand to be. So for example, if someone's main excitement for the wedding is just they want to be featured in magazines and they're talking mostly about that or talking about things that are not related to their partner in the conversation, I may be disinterested and say, you got to go. And then we have 55%. It's the biggest percentage. It's budget. I aim for something between 50 and 65% of the people that reach out to me to say that I'm too expensive. That's kind of where I feel like I'm happy, because that means that I'm really talking to a specific audience and there is an audience that's still booking me. Now, if I ever get to a point where this is like 70% or 80% or 90%, I either need to change the source of leads, change the ad that I'm running, or change my prices, because maybe I'm just priced out a little bit too high for the current season. Okay. So 55% I think is actually a really healthy place to be for lead loss. Now, here's where we get the income coming in from. So in 2025, I've booked 8 leads so far for weddings between 2025 and 2027. Okay, so breaking this down again, 52 leads came from SEO, 21 came from vendor or venue referrals, 16 have come from paid ads, and client referrals have given me 7 leads so far this year. Now, here's the income totals. We've booked 4 weddings from SEO, but 8 weddings total for the year. They're going to be booked between 2025 and 2027. So I've had 4 come from SEO, 21,600 total for that. 3 have come from paid ads, 17,800 for that. And that was 2 weddings at full price and 1 at a discounted price, basically because it was the next day and I was already going to be in town. And then we have 1 from client referral at 7,400. And the venue referrals so far have been, I haven't booked a single one that I particularly was excited about. Okay. So again, that's 8 total from there. Now you'll notice that if we look at the ads, we look at the sources here. Paid ads is not the second most, it's not the second highest, but it's the second highest income source. Venue referrals, where I'm getting a ton of these, I may be getting the leads in, but ultimately they're not a good fit, or the venues specifically aren't doing enough to vet their clients to make sure that they're a good fit for me personally. Like, a lot of them actually have reached out and been like, well, we were looking for somebody who does light and airy. Can you do that? Absolutely not. I shoot the way I shoot. If you don't like it, hire somebody else. Just because you get a lot of leads from a source doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your biggest source of income. SEO is one of my bigger sources of income. So we look at 52 leads coming in, and these could be wedding leads or whatever. Then we have 21, 16, and 7. But then you look at the income totals. SEO is the number one source. Paid ads is the second source, and client referrals right now are 7,400. And my referrals have really brought me in no money from my vendor connections thus far this year. Now, sometimes this is just the time of the year. Sometimes this means that they'll come back to me a little bit later. And sometimes I notice like around September is when those vendor referrals really start to kick in bigger, because I try and keep those relationships nurturing. Because in some years where SEO we would think would be the highest, I've had vendor referrals be higher than SEO, and I've had paid ads be almost nothing. I've had client referrals be the highest. It just kind of, it varies. And again, that's kind of the point. You want to make sure that when one goes down, the others are still there to take care of the rest of it. You want to make sure that you're keeping your business safe. And so if we look at lead income for just engagements though, we have 7,000 coming in at 7 from SEO, 1,400 coming in from a client referral, and 1 coming from a vendor referral at 700. Now, the important part to notice here is with these weddings, the vast majority of the money that you see here doesn't come into my account this year. I only get that retainer fee that comes in now, and then usually 60 days prior to the wedding is when I actually get paid from that. But the difference here is when we look at engagements or sessions in general, this is paid typically within 3 months. Like if someone reaches out for a proposal, they're usually going to propose within the next 3 months. And so this is actually what I consider faster income. Again, though, highest source for this is going to be SEO. Second is going to be client referral. And then the next is going to be from vendor referral. And I will say I haven't run an ad specifically for this purpose yet, but I will be testing that the next couple months here. So total income coming into the business from these different sources, we have 9,600 coming in from the wedding bookings. Okay, 9,600 total. And then from the sessions, we have 9,100 cash. Now, the cool thing is that 9,600, this is a partial payment on a full bill, but the session payments, the sessions themselves are going to be, this is just like I'm done with these. Once I shoot them, I deliver the thing, we're all good to go. These are already paid up front. And so diversification, not only of lead sources, but also types of sessions that you're doing is incredibly important. Hopefully, you guys have already figured that out and are now doing all these kind of things. Like I said, I just want to make sure you guys understand that while you can get the majority of your leads coming in from one source, that's not the smartest business play. Because you can kind of see that not only do the leads vary where you're actually getting them from, but you also get very varied income coming from them. You can there's different sources. There's different reasons to have these sources. This is called a safety net inside of your business. This is really part of hedging and protecting your business from different downturns and things. And so I'm hoping that some of you are following some sort of strategy here, whether you're doing just SEO and then you're adding in at the very least, you should be working on a referral system from the vendors and clients. But I would actually hope that more of you are doing at least 3. You got to have a paid source. You got to be investing in your business. And that's what it is. Just to give you guys an idea, every month we're spending about $1,000 or $900 in those leads. That comes directly from the $1,000 or $900 or whatever comes from the retainer fees mostly. I don't like to take money from, let's say, SEO and put that into the paid ads. What I like to do is I like to have the paid ads money pay for the paid ads, and then the SEO money pay for the SEO. That's kind of how I like to do things inside the business for these lead sources. So, for example, if for whatever reason, I noticed like the next month or so, I book a lot more weddings that I'm excited about, which is mainly the criteria for me booking a wedding. From paid ads, I'm probably going to increase the budget and maybe even double it up because now I have a system that I know is working. And I can see like, okay, let's say right now, I think it's about every $50 or so, I get an inquiry, maybe even less, it might be 25. That means that I want to make sure that I'm spending roughly $25 a day if I'm getting a lead at $25. And if I see that, okay, I could probably increase this because now we're getting bookings in, great. I'm going to start spending $75 a day and really, really ramp that up as long as it's being covered by the retainers coming in directly from that lead source. I know it's a little confusing. Either way, hope you guys are having a good day. We're going to be talking a little bit more about SEO coming in soon. And I don't know, I might record an entire video breaking down my ads. Let me know if that's something you want me to do. If you want me to break down the entire process of what I'm doing with the ads and how I'm kind of putting them out, because it's not very complicated. I don't even, there's no audience restrictions or anything like that. It's basically just good copy, good images, like a good lead page, and that's it. That's the majority of it. So talk to you guys soon. Hope you enjoyed this video.